Everyone, today we'll be doing a new chapter, statistics, and this is the first session of statistics, class 10 mathematics. So I hope all of you have got a pen and a paper or pen and notebook with you. All right, so guys, you have three buttons in front of your screen. There's a Q&A button to ask any questions or queries. I'll try to answer your questions either during the session or at the end of the session. Then if you when I ask you to give me an answer to a question, please click the Q&A button and type in your answer as well. Then there's the raise hand button. So after I teach you a concept or I give you a solution to a question, and when I say that guys have understood this concept or the solution, and if the answer is a yes, then please raise your hands. Finally, at the end of the session, you can click the leave webinar button to exit. So my name is Shubham Mandal. And so today we'll be discussing how to find the mean of group data. So we'll discuss three methods in your and today we'll not be doing any problems because there are three different methods and it will take some time to sink in, even though they're very easy. Okay, so the problems and all will be your homework. You need to go back and practice at least 2-3 problems using all the three methods. So in class 9, you would have studied the classification of data into grouped as well, ungrouped as well as grouped frequency distributions. So what this means is what is ungrouped data. So let's say I tell you, okay, we can just a moment. Okay, so before going into this, in this chapter, and you in class 9 you had also studied measures of central tendency, mean, median, mode. Now in this chapter we'll study all these measures of central tendency for group data. In class 9 you had done all these things for ungrouped data. So now guys, do you remember what ungrouped data is? Does any of you remember what ungrouped data? What is the difference between grouped and ungrouped data? Difference. What is group data? Can you give an example? All right, if you do not know, let's understand this with an example. So it literally means group data literally means that you have grouping, and ungrouped data means that you do not have any grouping. For example, let's say in a class there are 10 students, okay, or not 10 students, let's say there are 40 students. And if I write each one of their marks, if I give you a table which has every one of their marks separately, for example, student 1 has got, let's say they have given a test out of 100 marks. Let's say the student with the first roll number has got 90, second student has got 75, so on till the last student, 40 student has got, let's say, 99. Okay, this will be your ungrouped data. Why? Because I have given each data point separately. Now instead, if I give you something like this, let's say where I can instead I give it like this, marks 0 to 20. Okay, let me draw a table instead. So let's say I give you marks here and number of students. Zero to 20, 2 students. 20 to 40, 20 students. 40 to 60, 5 students. Something like this. You see, here I am 0 to 20. In 0 to 20, there might be more, like there are 2 students. So I've grouped both of them into one category. 20 to 40, there are 20 students. So in the ungrouped, when I had given this data in the ungrouped form, I would have had 20 different data points with each of their marks between 20 and 40. But when I give them, when I give these things in a grouped form, I'll have all the 20 to 40 in one single group. Okay, so this is what is group data. Okay. So any doubts between any doubts in what is the difference between group data and ungrouped data? This example is fairly simple to understand. This is what you need to understand the difference between between group data and ungrouped data. Ungrouped data, I'll give you all the 40 students marks separately. All right, so guys, here's a question for you. Now I have the following observations. Okay, I have the following observations x1, x2, so on till xn, which occur with the following frequencies. Frequency means let's say x1 has frequency of f1, means that x1 has occurred f1 times. Frequency means number of times it has occurred. So can you tell me what is the mean of this given data? This is something which you have learned in class 9. So this is finding the mean of ungrouped data. Can you tell me the mean of this? If you do not know, then you can tell me I do not know. Click the Q&A button and tell me. If you know the answer, click the Q&A button and tell me the answer. Mean you had studied, right? No one knows? I'm not getting any answer. All right, never mind. So the mean will be given as follows. I don't know why this L has come here. This will be something like dot, 3 dots. It will be f1 x1 plus f2 x2, so on till fn xn. So what it means is you are multiplying, if x1 has occurred f1 times, so you'll do it x1 into f1 plus x2 into f2 plus x3 into f3, so on by total number of occurrences, that is f1 plus f2 plus f3 and so on. And this is written in the short form as this. So mean is always represented as x bar. Okay, this is x and a bar over it or an underline over it, and this symbol is called sigma. So this is so this whole formula is pronounced as x bar is equal to sigma fi xi, where I goes from 1 to n. Why? Because your observations are what? f1, f2, so on till fn, and those are the frequencies. The observations are x1, x2, so on till xn. So I goes from 1 to n. So fi xi. So the final formula of mean is sigma fi xi by sigma fi. Okay. So guys, write down this formula. Understand this formula, write down this formula in your notebooks, and please understand it and remember it. If you do not understand this formula, it will be hard for you to do this chapter. Tell me if you have any doubts in understanding this formula. It's an important formula. Any doubts in this? If all of you have understood the formula on this page, please raise your hands. Whoever has understood the formula and whatever is given on this page, can you please raise your hands? Otherwise, I'll explain again. See, otherwise I will not understand who is understanding, if whether you're understanding or not. See, if I give you something like this, 10 students have got let's say 20 marks. 20 marks. So I'm telling that they're not. It's not a range. I'm saying 10 have got exactly 20 marks. Or okay, let's not go to marks. Instead, let's take another example. Let's say we check the weights of students. Weights. Now, let's say 2 students have weight 50 kg. 5 have weight 45 kg. 6 have weight 30 kg. Not 30. Let's say 40 kg. 4 have 55 kg. Okay. Now, what will be the mean of the weights of these students? The mean will be, see, 50 kg is the observation. These are all my observations. These are all the frequencies. Frequency means number of times, and observations are all events. Okay, events which you observe. Now 50 kg is occurring 2 times. So the mean weight here will be 50 into 2. 50 kg is occurring 2 times, so 50 into 2 plus 45 kg is occurring 5 times. 45 into 5 plus 40 is occurring 6 times. 40 into 6, and finally 55 into 4 by total number of frequencies. Okay, that is f1 plus f2 plus so on till fn. Here it will be 2 plus 5 plus 6 plus 4. That is 18. So this will be your mean. Okay. Now do you understand? You multiply the frequencies with the observations and divide by the sum of all the frequencies. So now is the formula clear? You understand the formula now? All right. Okay, what do you not understand? Which part? Let's say this is my, if I say this is step 1 and this is step 2, which of these do you not understand? See, step 2 is just a short form. This is a short form of writing this whole formula. In this, what do you not understand? If I'm saying that F1 are the frequencies or the number of times something occurs. Let's say, for example, in your class, oh L, okay, it's not an, okay, L, that is a typing error. It's not L, it is ... So it is f1 x1 plus f2 x2 plus f3 x3 plus f4 x4 and so on till fn xn. L, I don't know why it came. It's a typing error. Divided by f1 plus f2 plus so on. See this ... that is what should have come there. See, I can give another example. Now let's say, okay, so let's say you have, let's take your test marks, whatever you have got in your class 9, starting from day 1 till the last day of your class 9. Now, if you have gotten, let's say we take your maths tests only. Let's say you have got 15, let's say it's out of 100, okay? Let's say I've got 90 some 2 times, 85 2 times, 95 some 5 times, okay? Let's take only these 3 observations. 95 you have got 5 times, 85 you have got 2 times, 90 marks you have got 2 times, okay? We have totally 9 observations. 3 observations and totally they occur 9 times. Now, what will be the average? What will be your average marks? What will be your average marks? Had you got once only, had you had all these things being only once, you'd have added all of them divided by 3. Like had 90 occurred 1 time, 85 occurred 1 time, 95 occurred 1 time. Mean is what? Sum of the observations by number of observations. That is a very basic formula which you have learned. Now, if each observation occurs more than once, then you divide with the frequency of those observations. Okay. So here the mean will be 90 into 2 plus 85 into 2 plus 95 into 5 divided by 2 plus 5. Okay. This will be your mean marks. Step 2 is just the short form. Okay. It's just the short form of. Oh, okay. What is the question? What is I in the second step? I is just a notation. Okay. See, because it is f1 x1 plus f2 x2 so on till fn xn. So I can, instead of writing f1 x1 f2 x2 this big formula, what I can write is, this is fi xi, where I is a number, I is an integer, or I is a whole number, where I goes from 1 to n. The I is equal to 1 is the starting value of I, and the last value you write on the top of the symbol, that is n. So okay, I'll write the English form. So this basically means sigma fi xi, where I goes from 1 to n. Okay, this is the meaning of that. And this one means sigma fi, where again I goes from 1 to n. Sigma fi, and numerator has sigma fi xi. Now this was mean of ungrouped data. So here is another example of mean of ungrouped data. So here we have marks obtained by 30 students of class 10 in a mathematics paper consisting of 100 marks. Now, how do I find the mean? So here I've given each marks. Okay, so number of students who have obtained 10 marks is 1, 20 marks is 1. 3 students have got 36 marks. So this is how you read the table. 4 students have got 40 marks. Okay. Now the mean of these students, you can find, you can just do it fi xi by fi sigma. Okay. You can multiply each 10 into 1 plus 20 into 1 plus so on till 95 into 1 divided by sum of all these things, number of students, 1 plus 1 plus 3 plus 1. But what happens is, you see this method. Okay, now we have how many? Only 30 students, but in real life you will have a lot of observations. Okay, you'll have a huge amount of data, and that time we cannot just take each and every data point and use the mean and use the formula for mean of ungrouped data. Instead, that time we'll have to combine a lot of data. You will have like millions and millions of data points, okay, in real life examples. But that time you cannot go and add all millions of those numbers, right? You will group them. You will group them into some categories. You'll group them together. That is when the number of groups will come down. From millions, you'll come down to hundreds. So now let's take this. This is our ungrouped data. Here, this table shows our ungrouped data. Ungrouped. Now let's convert this into group data. How do we do that? That is up to you. We can take, so what is the minimum marks? Start from the minimum. It's 10, and the maximum the minimum is 10 and the maximum is 95. Now we can, okay, we can take groups of, we can take interval of 10, we can take interval of 5, we can take interval of 20. That is up to you. Okay, that is up to you. Here I've grouped the data by forming class intervals of width 15. What that means is every interval will be of 15 marks. So 10 to 25. Okay, and one more thing. So while allocating frequencies to each class interval, students falling in any upper class limit. So what it means is 10 to 25 would mean if I have got 25, then it will fall in the next class. So basically 10 to 25 means that I'm going from 10 to 24. 10 to 24, and then if I have got 25 marks, then that student will be put in the 25 to 40 class. So for example, 4 students who have obtained 40 marks would be considered in the interval 40 to 55 and not 20 to 40, 25 to 40. Okay? So you can take class interval as 10, you can take class interval as 12, you can take class interval as any number which you want. But take something convenient, which is not very big, because if you take class intervals to be 100, then all the students will fall in one class. If you take class interval to be 1, it'll be just like you'll have infinite, you'll have so many classes. Okay, so take think which class interval would be the best. Not the best, I mean, you can take 10, you can take 12, you can take 15, you can take 20. All of these are good. Here I've taken 15. Now, how do I convert this ungrouped data into group data? I've taken the class interval to be 15. Now start with the start with the smallest number, which is 10. 10 and 10, you go to 10 and 15 more observations, you can write this as 10 to 24, 25 to 40, 25 to 39, 40 to 54, and so on. Or you could write it like this, 10 to 25, and 25th one you're not considering, it's in the next class. So once you convert the ungrouped data into group data, you have grouped 15 marks together into one group. So every 15 marks is one group. Okay. Now, every 15 marks is one group. Now you see, so 10 to 25, how many students are there? How many students have got marks from 10 to 25? You have one student who has got 10, one who has got 20. After that, everyone has got more than 25. So 10 to 25, number of students is 2. Next, let's come to 25 to 40. Now 25 to 40, we have 3 students in 36, 3 in 36. But 40 we are not considering in the 25 to 40, right? 40 is in 40 to 55 interval. You don't consider the upper limit of the class, okay? In any upper class, students falling in any upper class limit would be considered in the next class. So upper class limit is the bigger number. So this is the lower class limit. All the first numbers 10, 25, 40, 55, 70, 85, when they occur in the first part, they are all lower class limits, and the right side ones are called upper class limits. Okay. And all these things are called class intervals. Interval means from one to another, okay, in between. So these are all called class intervals, and they have width 15. The first number in the interval is called lower class limit. The higher number in the interval is called, the highest number in the interval is called upper class limit. Now we do not consider the upper class limit value, okay? We do not consider observations falling in the upper class limit. Now 40 to 55, you have 40 has 4 and 50 has 3 students. So 40 to 55 will have 7 students. Similarly, now we have made all the classes. We have grouped the data, and this is what you'll get when you group all the data, when you group the data, okay? When you group all the students into different class intervals. Now, how do we find the mean of this? Once you get this table, after getting this table, how do you find the mean of this? So we take the midpoint, of each class. We take the midpoint of each class, which is the upper class limit plus the lower class limit divided by 2. We take that the midpoint is, it is assumed that the frequency of each class is centered around its midpoint. So what it means is, we are assuming here that the majority of the students, or the frequency, mostly we are assuming that every student has got, so some student might get more than the midpoint, more than the class mark, some might have got less than the class mark. So if we add up everything, it will come to be somewhere around the center of the class mark. Okay, so that is why we assume that the frequency of each class interval is centered around its midpoint. So if two students have got more than the midpoint and 2 have got less than the midpoint, if we add up everything, it will come out to be somewhere around the midpoint. So that is why we take the midpoint of each class interval, which is called this midpoint is called the class mark. Class mark is equal to upper class limit plus lower class limit divided by 2. Here upper class limit was 10, upper class limit was 25, lower was 10. 25 plus 10 divided by 2 is 17.5. Similarly, for each of those class intervals, I found out the class mark. And finally, the mean of the data. The mean of the data will be number of students, which is Fi into Xi, which is the class mark. You multiply each. So 2 into 17.5, 3 into 32.5, 7 into 47.5. You multiply each of them and you add them up. You'll get 1860 divided by sigma Fi, the original formula. Sigma Fi Xi by sigma Fi. This method is known as the direct method. So guys, I know this was a long method, but this was a very simple method. Do you have any doubts in this? Tell me first, which slide do you have doubt in? Converting ungrouped to grouped. Do you have doubt in that? To convert from ungrouped data to grouped data, just start with the least number, start with the smallest number. So you need to always go in the increasing order, okay? So start with the smallest number. Here the smallest value of observation was 10. And then take some interval. Take maybe if you want to combine 20 marks together, you can take 10 to 30. Instead of 15, you can take 20 marks. You can take 10 marks also. It will be 10 to 20, then 20 to 30, 30 to 40. You will get different classes. But finally, you will get the average to be, or you'll get the mean to be almost the same. You'll get the mean to be same as what you've got, even if you take different class intervals. So any doubts in this, guys? Any doubts in the direct method? See, today we'll not be doing any problems. That is why, because there are 3 different methods, okay? And this is something which is very new to you. So I want all of you to be very thorough with this. Once you make the class interval table, once you make this table, after this, it's very easy. You find the class marks, which is upper limit plus lower limit divided by 2 for each of them. Then you get this table. Then multiply frequency and class mark for each of the classes. So any doubts in this, guys? See, no one is responding, which either means that all of you have understood everything or you have understood nothing. What is it? If you have understood everything of direct method, please raise your hands. If you haven't understood, then let me know what doubt you have. Then I can clear it. Otherwise, I'll move forward to the next method. All right. So let's move forward to the next method. So this is the indirect method. So So sometimes the numerical values of xi and fi are very large. Okay, so someone has doubt in slide 8. This is the question. Slide 8 is the question. Okay, so I'll explain the indirect method first, because after this there is one more method. Okay, it's not indirect method, sorry, this is called assumed mean method. Yeah, so just a moment. Sometimes the values of xi and fi are really large, and finding the product of xi and fi becomes tedious, okay, and time consuming. In those situations, there is a method for reducing these calculations. So what we do is, after we get this table, we take the center value of xi, we take the middle value of xi, which is so which lies in the center of x1, so in the which lies in the center of all the class marks. Okay, so here we have how many? 1 2 3 4 5 6. Here we have 6 class marks. The center is either 3 or 4, so we can take either 47.5 or 62.5. okay, take the center of the class marks. So here it can be either 47.5 or 62.5. I have taken 47.5. So the next step is to find the difference between A and each of the xi's. Okay, so what that means is, so we call this as the we write this center value of the class marks as A. Okay, now for each of those class marks, you find the center value minus the class mark, or class mark minus the center value. For example, 17.5 minus 47.5, it will be minus 30. 32.5 minus 47.5 will be minus 15, and so on. You get this value di. Okay, this is called a deviation. And finally, the third step is to take the product fi, just frequency, into di. In the previous thing, what we had done was fi into class mark, fi into xi. But here I am doing fi into di, which is the deviation. Sigma fi di. And finally, the mean is given as A, which is the center class mark, plus our original formula, sigma fi di by sigma fi. This method is called the assumed mean method. Why? Because we are assuming that the center of the class mark is the assumed mean. Okay, is the mean. We are assuming that thing. Okay, so this method is called assumed mean method. And in relation to this, what you do is, now observe this deviation table. Observe this table. In this table, every value is a multiple of 15, which is the class interval. Okay, so every value is a multiple of 15, and 15 is our class interval. Okay, what you can do is, this whole column you can divide by the class interval. What will you get? You'll get, if you divide this whole thing, you'll get your, let the name of this column be ui. So you will get -2, -1, 0, and so on. Okay, so now you see the calculation has become so easy. FIUI is you directly you're doing single digit calculations. And finally, your your mean will be given as x bar is equal to a plus h into sigma fi ui by sigma fi. H is your, this is your class interval, which is 15 in this case. So this is called the step deviation method. So from the assumed mean method, you go one step ahead by dividing the di column with the class interval, each of the values. You will get your step deviation method. So guys, we have completed the theory part for today's class. Now I want all of you to ask me doubts because I've taught you a lot of new things. So tell me, which part of or which slide do you want me to repeat? What you have not understood? Have you understood the direct method? Have you understood the direct method? Just a moment. Okay, I'll explain the direct method once more. So let's go by steps. Let's do it stepwise. So step one. Step one is make ungrouped data into grouped. Okay, make ungrouped data into grouped form by taking some class interval. Of your choice. Now take a suitable class interval. Don't take a very large class interval. Don't take a very small class interval. Now after transforming the ungrouped data into grouped data, we get this. Okay, we get our class interval and we get the frequency table. This is a frequency distribution table for grouped data. Next, what we do is step two. Let's come to the next slide. Yeah, step two. Write, or rather find, class mark of each interval. So step two is find the class mark, or which is also the class mark or the midpoint. Okay, midpoint of each class interval. So this midpoint class mark is upper class limit plus lower class limit divided by 2. Okay, so now you will get this whole table. And step 3, find fi xi for each interval. See, my class mark is denoted with xi. My frequency or number of students is denoted with fi, okay? And finally, the mean of the data is given by sigma fi xi by sigma fi. See, the calculation here, calculation of fi xi in this direct method is a lot. You see 1860 and all, you will get sigma fi xi. But if you look at, as you go from one method to another, in the assumed mean method, see the sigma fi di, the calculation has come down significantly. You're getting F435. And finally, in the step deviation method, the calculation is very easy. You don't even need, like, you'll just do it in within 1 minute. See the final value here. It's just 29. From 1860, you have come down to 29. How the calculation has decreased. Okay. So guys, any more doubts? Now, this was the direct method. Instead of doing here sigma fi xi, you can come to the assumed mean method, where after finding the class mark, you take the center, you find the center of the class marks. Center means the center value of the class marks. If you have six class marks, then if you have an even number of class marks, you will have two centers. You can take either of those. If you have odd, you will have only one center, you will have to take that. And then you find the deviation column. Once you choose the center, which is your A, which is called the assumed mean, you represent that with A. Then for each of those class intervals, you find the deviation, which is xi minus A. You find the deviation column, and you find fi into di, the right column, rightmost. Mean will be given by this formula. See, the formula is changing from one method to another. In direct method, it was sigma fi xi by sigma fi. In the assumed mean method, it is A plus sigma fi di by sigma fi. And finally, step deviation method is one step further. Now that you have got the di column, you divide the di column with h, which is the class interval. You get ui, and the calculation becomes very easy. And here the rightmost column is fi ui. Mean is given to be a plus h into sigma fi ui by sigma fi. So guys, I want all of you to practice 1 or 2 questions in all the 3 methods. Okay, that is your homework for this weekend. We'll do statistics to I think we'll continue it in the next week. Okay, next week I won't be there. Someone else will teach you. So any more doubts in this? If there are no doubts, then you can click the leave webinar button to exit. This session will be repeated in the evening also. And please log into the Genio website. Do not forget, there are a lot of videos and tests, and also you'll have previous year question papers. Previous year solved question papers. Okay. Don't forget to log into the Genio website. Tomorrow you have statistics too. Oh wait, tomorrow is Friday. Yeah, I will be taking tomorrow's class also. Yeah, sorry. So guys, please exit now. I'll be closing in the next 1 minute.